All right, so after you get the this grass done, and like I said, I would do a better job than what I've done here. You're going to want to add some trees. Okay, so you click on the trees tab here. We go edit trees, add tree, and then I don't know if there's any trees in this pack. There was not, so which means I got to download another pack that does potentially have trees. So I'm going to go to the asset store, and let me see if I can find props. Oh, here's vegetation. Trees are not part of props right now. Vegetation. Here we go. Trees, and I'm going to go to this filters here because I'm cheap, and I'm going to okay, so realistic tree pack. That sounds great. Let's do that one. Volume 1. Download. Most of the time I'm all about making my own stuff, but with trees they are kind of annoying to model and stuff, so you're better off just kind of getting them from a pack such as this. Alright, so I'm going to download these, and, there's probably a bunch of other ones too. I'd look through them and see if you can find something. If you're making a game and you really want to be nice, it would be worth it to purchase them, okay? So now you can see I have the realistic trees here. I have this realistic, I forget what it's called, something, whatever, pack. Oh no, that's realistic tree pack. This is realistic terrain collection. Okay, so this obviously contains that. Alright, so back to my scene here. And I'm going to click on the terrain, and I'm going to go to edit trees, add tree, and now if I hit this little target symbol, you see I have 2 trees in here that are possibly of use. So tree A and tree B, or 1A and tree 2. I'm going to open that, and I will hit add, and then I can start drawing these trees in here. Now what I would tell you is don't get crazy with it, because you're going to see like that's way too many trees, and they are all blowing over for whatever reason. So let's see, tree height, lock width the height, boom, boom, boom. The trees. Why is that going weird? Alright, let's find a different tree because I'm not really liking that. I'm going to pause it and just find a different one. So I went and I found this Forester Pro Sycamore, so I'm just going to use that. That seems to be a little bit better. I like that tree better anyway. Okay, so I'm going to take my brush size down. So what you want to do is like basically make it as small as you can make it, and then every time you click, it'll make one tree. Instead of doing this, where you have a really big brush and you just go wah, like you're not really controlling it, you're not really seeing it. It doesn't really work that well. You're much better off just doing single trees, and that way you are determining where these trees go, okay? And really what you want to do is think about what the character's going to see, right, or the player. They're not going to see the trees, like down in here or over here. They might see them up here, but you want to use them to more or less just kind of break the silhouette up, okay? I would even like look up maps and see, go on Google Maps and see, how trees are placed. But try to use them sparingly because it's adding to your overall, it's expensive as far as processing power. Okay. So put them where you need them, but don't go too crazy. All right. So there's the trees. That's great. You can play around with some of this other stuff here. This is to paint details, so that's like rocks and brushes and grass and stuff like that. So I'm going to edit details. Let's go ahead and add grass texture. I'm just so I can show you. I have this little swatch here, and not seeing anything that's like grass. Must be a different one. All right, let's not do grass. Let's see if I have rocks here. We will cancel that. Let's do edit details, add detail mesh instead. See if I have. I don't have that either. Okay, so I guess I'll have to look that up. Asset store. I'm just gonna pause it while I look for one. All right, so I found this Rocky Meadow assets. I thought that worked kind of nice. There's all sorts of there's grass and rocks and stuff, and it's pretty good. So I'm just gonna use that. So I import it and download it just like we did before. So I'm just gonna go to edit details. I'm gonna go add detail mesh, and then you can see I click on this little icon, and then there's all sorts of there's grass, right? So I'll do this grass thin, and then I need to change the color. Otherwise, there's gonna be this really bright color. Really what I want to do is kind of make it like this color. So I'm going to go like that, maybe make it a little more saturated than this grass around it, which is good. And then for the dry color, bring this down like that. All right, and we'll say that's okay. And I'll hit add. And now what that'll allow me to do, again, you only want to put it where you're going to see it. So I'm going to go, I'm just going to put in this little spot here. This you also, again, want to be very, light with. Let's see. Oof. That is dark. Okay, I'm going to edit the details, and I'm going to edit it, and it looks like it might be a bit on the light dark side, so I'm going to bring this up a bit. Okay, let's apply. That's a little better. It's still kind of dark, but it's also very dense. The target strength, I'll bring that down a whole lot. That's a little better. Let's take that target strength down even more. And then the opacity. There we go. Alright, so I can add some grass. And I would just, again, add this as in like little patches. That kind of a thing, like this. So that when you're moving around, you see it, but it's not like crazy. Okay? If you have too much of it, if you try to draw it like actual grass, it's not going to be good. So I'm going to do edit details, and I'm going to do another add detail mesh, and then there's rocks and stuff in here. So here's some rock clusters. I'll grab this one, and I'll just add. Now watch this. Oops, sorry. You can't see it. Let me make the brush size. Is it there? I can't. Yeah. Not. Sometimes they're just really small. I'm not really getting much of anything there. All right, let's just go ahead and remove that one. Add another detail mesh. Let's try a different one here. Just like a rock small. I've noticed with the rocks, you actually got to make these quite a bit bigger generally. So I'm going to go 10 by 25, and then 10 by 25. Okay. Let's see. Still not getting it. Let's try this. I'm not seeing. Let's make this really big. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Something weird's going on with that. Target strength. Well, normally that works. You just draw on it, but I'm not sure exactly what's going on. Okay. But you get grass and rocks and things like that to further break up the space, okay? But I'm not going to concern myself anymore with that. So we're going to say that that's good. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Just Command S. So we got all that. That looks pretty good. We can insert water, because that's always a good thing to do. So I'm going to go to the assets. Well, we'll do that later. Okay, so now we need to bring in a car. So again, I could go into the asset store. I could search for a car, right? Find a car that's free and then import it like you would expect. Instead, what I'm going to do is actually just use my own car that I made. And so I'm just going to, you can do it a bunch of different ways. I'm just going to go ahead and go into my models folder here for here. And pull this over. And then I'm going to navigate to where I have this car saved. Let me see, game design, boom, 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 boom. Come on, you can do it. Race, race. And then, no, sorry, assets, models, and then I have this model. And all I gotta do is just click and drag it into here, and it'll automatically import it along with materials. So I'm gonna pull this back over. Okay. So now I have this, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna drop it into the scene here. You can see it sticks onto where I'm dropping it. Alright, so that's good. And I'm going to rotate this around like this. I hit E for rotate. Alright, and I'm going to say the size is fine, but if I need it, I could change the scale here in order to make it work a little bit better. Now, if you look at this object, it's actually got, I'm going to go ahead and rename it, actually, player. Okay, if you look at it, it's actually made up a bunch of different objects, right? So there's this thing, which is like the handbrake, and the cylinders, which are the tires. Now, you notice how my camera is not rotating around it? The best thing to do is to select the object that you want to focus on and hit F for frame. And now that's the focal point. Okay, but there's the windshield. Okay, so each one's a separate piece. But what I can do is I can open up this material, and each one of these are what's being applied here. So if I click on this material, which is currently going on this thing here, and click on there, and I'm just going to make like a black. And you can see now that's the material on there. Cylinder, I'm also going to make that like a black because that's the tires. Generic. That's the color of the car, so I'm going to do like this kind of hot roddy yellow. And then windshield, it's going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to just do straight opaque because that just means it's, you can't see through it. I want to go transparent. So now it has the ability to be transparent. You can see it's reacting a little bit weird. I'm going to click in here and get a cyan color, right, for the windshield. And then I'm going to take this alpha and bring that down. And that's going to make it see-through. Okay? Now, obviously, I'd want to do a little bit better of a job and actually use textures and stuff. But for now, this is fine. Just throw these materials on there. That gets the job done. Okay. Next thing we do is actually take this camera, which is the camera that we're currently looking, or not looking through, but the user will. And I just got to bring it over here to where the car is, because I'm going to put it right behind the car. All right. And all right, and I'm going to rotate it. E for rotate, W for the move tool. Pull it up, and we're going to say, obviously you want it to be pretty close to the same. All right, so we're going to say that's the car camera. I'm going to take that and I'm going to parent that to player, okay? That way when the player moves, the camera will also move, right? Okay, so I got that parented. That looks so good. So now what I need to do is actually have this car do things. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a component. I'm going to add, because we're going to drive it by using physics. So physics, rigid body, and that is good. Good. All right, so that way we can use that to drive. And I'm going to add another component. Watch this. So if I hit play, what you're going to see is that you are just going to fall through. The reason why is there's no collider attached to this. So I have to add also a collider. The physics allows it to be affected by gravity. But I need to add another physics, and I'm going to add a box collider because that's a nice simplification of what it is. So box collider. But the box collider is not going to be the same size. So right now, you'll see as soon as you play, it actually will drop because basically what's happening is this is colliding with that. So I need to change the size. So I'm going to hit edit collider. You see these little squares come up, and I'm just going to stretch them to the correct size of the car. Because the car is more or less a cube or rectilinear in some way, right? So I'm just going to kind of pull these, and then height-wise, it's got to be a little bit, but you can see it's a little bit off, so I'm going to grab this Y, I'm going to click here and drag down, so it's more or less to the ground of it, and then I'm going to turn this back off, and now that's the collider. Now when I hit play, you'll see it'll settle a little bit, but not much, okay? So now that's what it'll collide by. Now the last thing I need to do is actually make a script for it. So I'm going to go to Assets, and we're going to go Scripts, right-click, Create, JavaScript, and we're going to call it Player, Player Script, okay? And then I'll double-click on it. It'll open up, and then when it opens up, we will start scripting the thing there, okay? So bam, wham, bam, there we go. Okay, I'm going to pause it here and actually do the script in the next video. That way it's a separate thing. Okay.